Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 115th episode of Dragon Quest Slime Time, a Dragon's Den podcast. This is your host, Platium3, and I think I'm already confused.
Let me guess. You didn't read the main menu.
Actually, no, I did not. But I don't think that would help in this specific situation.
Why not? What's up?
Oh, I was going to try to intro the podcast with the full name of the Dragon Quest 1+2 HD 2D remake subtitles, but I just can't find them anywhere.
I'm pretty sure there are no subtitles this time around.
Inconceivable! Dragon Quest always has those awesome alliterative subtitles, like all the way back from the 80s till today. They always have, they always will.
Yeah, I don't think a single part of that statement was in any way true.
Yeah, that was more a DS era and mobile release kind of thing.
You're poppycock! Alright, well, if Squeenix is shirking on their responsibilities, let's just, go around right now. We'll come up with our own subtitles. Bluestar, let's go. You start.
I'm just here to talk the games, not come up with something like this on the spot.
But thou must.
I second what Bluestar said, and it's late, and it's a weeknight. We can be doing this forever. Speed it along.
That's what she said. Also, but thou must.
Hard pass.
But thou must.
I kind of like this idea. Give me a minute to think.
But thou must.
Is Platy broken?
But thou must.
Step back, everyone. Stuff like this happens to Pendy on pretty much every other episode in our other podcast, All Trades DQ Media Abbey, the Slime Time podcast spinoff, where we review various Dragon Quest media, including manga and anime. But this is the main Slime Time, and the show must go on. I've got an angel bell here. This should help.
Thank you, Paul. Whew, got stuck in an endless loop there for a little bit. Good thing programming stuff like that is way in the past. They would never repeat such silly gimmicks in modern games.
Actually...
Okay, well, the voices you heard with me tonight should be familiar ones to most of you Slime Time listeners. We're a little under a week since the Dragon Quest 1 and 2 remakes released, so I have invited Pendy, Bluestar, AustNerevar, Jen, and Paul here today, so we can give our initial impressions of these games. Hey, everybody!
Hello!
Praise Rubus!
Hello!
Howdy ho!
All right, and with a howdy ho and a clear mind, we've got a half dozen coherent friends here. Maybe, one less than that coherent if it's me. But we'll go dive in right away here. So, first on, we are going to do our first real quick impressions of Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake. Let's start with everyone's purchase experience. What system did you buy it for? What edition? And why'd you pick that one? Andy, we'll start with you.
So I got mine for the Switch. I had originally gotten the collector's edition for the Switch for $3. So I just continued it with this game and got it for the Switch as well. I got it from the Square Enix store because it was the collector's edition, and I was out of town, so I'm not sure if it came on the day or early or maybe a day late, but by the time I got home from being out of town on the 31st, it was there waiting for me.
Nice. Bluestar.
So, funny story, actually. I didn't actually pre-order the game myself. It was kind of gifted to me, but also kind of it was a payment situation because I ended up cat and house sitting for a friend of my husband's for a week in June. There wasn't a ton involved, but it was a 40-minute drive one way to feed the kiddies twice a day, so I was driving out there quite a bit. And they said up front that they'd pay me, but I wasn't worried about it. It was a family friend and I wasn't doing anything else. But eventually my husband got word and said that they were going to buy a game and that I shouldn't pre-order anything that was going to come out on October 30th. What on earth could it be? Normally it would have been crazy to assume that I hadn't already pre-ordered it myself at that point, but I hadn't gotten around to it yet, so it worked out great. And I even almost forgot that release day was coming up. I thought about it in passing, but it didn't really hit me until there was an Amazon package outside my door one day, and I'm like, what the heck is this? This must be from the neighbors, and it blew onto my driveway or something. And then I picked it up and was like, oh, that's what this is.
What had you been playing when that showed up?
Yes, I did write that because I did take notes this time. I did also, once I realized what it was, I was like, okay, I know what this is. I don't have to open it. And then I went back to being sucked into Rogue Galaxy for a full other day before I actually opened it. And then that's all I've been doing since I opened it on Friday. But
it was a level 5 fun game. You're forgiven for waiting a day. It's all right. I forgive you, my child.
Aw, dang.
Just make sure you 100% these games.
I still haven't done the post game of the remake. I'm a failure. I'm a fake fan.
I'll be honest, I didn't get very far into that. I made sure I could see one wish, and I wished no more. I bet somebody wished a lot, though. Jen, where'd you get this game for?
So pretty much the day it was announced, my husband went and pre-ordered it for me because he knows that I don't buy things for myself, so he just buys them for me. So he went right on the Square Enix site, got the special edition before I even actually saw what was going to be in the collector's edition. And we got it for the PlayStation 5, since when we got 3, we accidentally got it for the PlayStation 5 instead of the Switch like we had planned. So I wanted it to, fit together with the other one. And I love the PlayStation 5 version of 3, actually. So it worked out well because it was from the Square Enix store. Did it end up coming a day late? The crappy part was that they sent him an email saying it was going to be here early. Like the Square Enix confirmation said it would be here early, and then when it actually made it, it was a day late. So I had my hopes up, and then they were dashed. But it was definitely worth the wait.
Oh, all those early people, I swear it was killing me before embargo lifted. All these people posting about, oh, we got it 3 days early. Here's what's happening here. Here's what's happening here. And I'm like, I can't say anything.
That happened to you with 3 as well, didn't it?
It did. Yep.
Because I got that one early.
Their freaking embargoes are like day of or day before. They don't do what a lot of games do and have a week lead up or something like that. And heck, even going back just a year and a half to Dragon Quest Joker, they didn't even give the codes out until, or not Joker. Wow. Dragon Quest Monsters, the Prince, the Dark Prince. I almost said Fresh Prince.
How
that would
many
be
years
one
ago
hell of a
Joker
game.
now?
Yeah. Listen,
Like a
I got
decade.
Joker, I got Fresh Prince, I am all over the place. But even that one
Fresh Prince
didn't
of Nadria.
send the code out until like the day of. There was no previews for that. I don't know if they thought that game might review poorly or something, but that was weird. Okay, sorry, throwing myself in there. Aust, what about you? What'd you buy?
Well, I ordered the Switch version from Square Enix site, and it came like 2 days late. It arrived today, but that's okay because I'm playing it on Steam. I've been playing it since it came out. I've been playing it on my Steam Deck, and that's it's been pretty great because got the better visuals than the Switch offers, but it's still got the portability. So I haven't even looked at the Switch version yet, but I know it. I mean, I remember with 3, it didn't look quite as good on Switch compared to the other systems.
No, it didn't. It was sharper on the PS5 and Steam than it was on this one. It wasn't too noticeable. But I remember seeing a difference when I saw someone else playing on the PS5.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. It just it when you went between them, if you had experienced one, you could definitely tell the difference.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, I got the Switch version just to have a physical copy because I try to have a physical copy of all the Dragon Quest games, and don't know when I'll get around to playing that version. It's probably just going to stay sealed until I do.
Not a bad idea. I still got my Dragon Quest 4 DS sealed copy.
Yeah, I did too because I had played that. Not to go into a big tangent, but I'd played that before, and then I wanted to buy a copy for myself, and they had them on sale like after 11 came out or right around there. They were still affordable.
Oh, nice. I just never opened it because I had the ROM card back then, and it's so easy just to download the ROM and have all my games on one card. Oops. About the game.
Yeah, you paid.
All right, Paul. Yeah. Where'd you buy it, Paul?
Well, Uncle Pendy Bags spends way too much on the collector's edition with its acrylic standees.
Oh, yeah.
I spent too much buying the game for both Xbox and Steam. So I pre-ordered it digitally on my 2 platforms of choice. Then I streamed the Xbox version of Part 1 on my Saturday Game School weekly live stream last week, and Pendy helped out on mic. Since then, I've mostly been playing the Steam version due to the portability of the Steam Deck. And I love it.
Portability rocks. So
yes, and it also has faster loading than Switch.
Yep. Well, I guess I might have been the only one here to get it for Switch 2 then. When I put in for the review code, I was like, no, I'll play that on Switch 2. To the eternal annoyance of my son because Pokemon came out and he could not play Pokemon for a couple weeks because I was like, I must review this game. And it has to be on the Switch too. So too bad. I get review codes via my writing and podcasting with rpgamer.com. I got the games early enough, almost not early enough for old man with kids and wife that hosts too many podcasts and has a full-time job. I really had to rush to get Dragon Quest II done there in time for my review. I played like 10 hours the second weekend I had it. I was a little annoyed at missing something in the game and had sent Square Enix PR like, hey, I feel like I missed something and did something wrong, and then just sat down for 10 hours and powered 90% of the way through the game, or what was less of it, that is, and like beat the game on a Monday. Anyway, all that. Thanks for that Switch 2 code there, Square Enix. Appreciate it. It looks beautiful on the Switch too, so, and the load times are nothing. So I can only assume that it's pretty much like the Steam version on a Steam Deck, but who knows? All right, so talking about, we just mentioned that, you could tell the difference between the Switch 1 version and like PlayStation 5 versions. What does everybody think about what this game specifically looks like, sounds like? Just talking about the graphics and music here. Bluestar, we'll start with you.
You really want to start with me and my book that I wrote here? That's not even all
that's okay. Listen.
Oh, were you gonna say listen something or?
Oh no, we're listening to you. But I was gonna say, listen, I have a little bit to say about the music, and I'm someone who usually plays on mute, so I'm sure you, who is very involved in music, will have a lot more to say, and that's okay.
And actually, part of my commentary is coming from the comment that you made. So actually, if you want to say your thing first.
Oh yeah. I actually heard string sections. I actually went to ChatGPT at one point, and I was like, does the Dragon Quest I Symphonic Suite have a lot of string instruments? Because I feel like I'm hearing that. And it was like, yes, it does. I was like, look at me. I'm musical.
And yes, I did clock that it was also a lot of string section. And even more so than like just string sections, it was a lot of string quartet. So like you can kind of tell that everything was like just 4 players. Like there wasn't a whole huge host of instruments making all the sound, which I think kind of really brings everything back to, simple is not the right word, but I mean kind of the simplicity, the elegant simplicity of the original. And so just sort of hearing that and how it comes in that way, it's really cool because it's not necessarily an arrangement of those tracks that I've heard before. I also, going through Dragon Quest 1, there were a couple of areas where they brought in new tracks, mostly stuff from 2 and 3, which I thought was a good move. Just because, Dragon Quest 1 has like 5 tracks in it in total, which it didn't need more because, that's just how the game was. But when they added more, I really appreciated that they tried to bring things in. Moving into Dragon Quest 2, I actually started listening to, you hear Traveling with Friends forever and ever and ever. But I've actually been working on a transcription of one of the tracks from the Dragon Quest XI Symphonic Suite, which it's the one that's titled Echoes of an Elusive Age, which I think might be the end credits, but functionally it's a medley of Unknown World, Traveling with Friends, Heavenly Flight, My Road, My Journey, and Into the Legend. So I've been going over those 5 tracks with like a really fine-tooth comb, and specifically noticing with Traveling with Friends how much they tweaked the instrumentation to try to, make it more of a background video game song rather than like, this is the orchestra playing this, you're listening to a symphonic suite type of thing. So they really like changed up a lot of the instrumentation. You could definitely tell that the orchestra that they used was smaller, kind of similar with changing everything down to a string quartet. You could just tell that, maybe there were fewer brass parts and even just smaller string sections in general. So it's been, nerd alert. It's been kind of cool to go through and be able to hear all of that. As far as the way that it looks, I think it looks absolutely beautiful. I have the very unique experience of having weird furry blobs show up in the middle of my screen every once in a while. But that's just because I have kittens now that are iPad kids, and they love to try to attack the things on screen and help the hero out. So all of that said, it's just been an amazing, beautiful experience from a visual and audio standpoint. One thing that I also did notice, and I'm saying it now because I'll forget later, is since a lot of these areas are areas that you're visiting, you visit them in 3, and then you visit them in 1, and then you visit them in 2. I like how when they designed those areas, they did specifically design them so that you could kind of see how they age over time. So that's pretty cool because, I feel like, it's in Dragon Quest specifically is where I notice it. I don't know if other franchises do this necessarily as much, but I've always really appreciated the small details that they add into things just to try to make their worlds seem more real.
Nice. Passage of time. I mean, it's definitely a couple generations between these games.
Yeah, it's funny because even somebody in the castle is like, wasn't there a dungeon in here before? And it's such a throwaway line if you didn't play 3, but it's like, yeah, there was, and now there isn't. So I like that they even nodded to it a little bit. But I agree, the game is absolutely beautiful. And you're spot on that it's just a treat to kind of see these same areas for the second and third time ever. In this new HD 2D environment. For me, I did notice that the music is definitely like a different recording than it was in Builders. I was playing Builders up until this came out, and it's the same songs, but it's different arrangements. So I thought that was really cool to kind of play them right on top of each other like that. Play Builders 1 and then play Dragon Quest 1. I thought that was really cool. But because I'm an absolute nerd, I play with the Japanese audio from the jump. And the first thing I noticed, like the very first time the hero attacked a monster, I was like, that's Tanjiro from Demon Slayer. Immediately. Just clocked him right away just from his yell. And I looked into it, and apparently even in 3, but in 1 and 2, everybody's reprising their roles from DQ Rivals from 2017. Like they got all of the main hero cast back to play their characters again. And I just thought that was a really cool touch that like these characters are voiced by the same people. It kind of feels like anime, when anime gets rebooted like 20 years later and the same people are playing it. So I thought that was a really cool touch. Obviously, it's not shocking, but like me, I thought it was really cool, especially because some of these people have made big names for themselves since they, were in this throwaway, kind of game. I mean, I guess DQ, it's DQ in Japan, but Rivals didn't come west. So for me, I'm like, oh, I guess that wasn't as big of a thing. So I thought it was cool, like to see, some of the bigger name voice actors around for it.
Nice. All right. Ost, you got some deep thoughts?
Yeah, it looks good.
Nice.
No, yeah, I mean, I don't remember what I even said when we talked about Dragon Quest 3 HD, but it's the the same style. So my feelings are pretty much reflected from that. It's I love the arts. I love the whole look that they've done with these games. Like I don't ever really get tired of it either. Just watching the hero walk across the overworld, it just looks so much better. Like fully realized this way. I have less to say about the music and sounds just because I've been playing a lot like after everyone else goes to sleep in bed, like next to my wife, and the baby's in the crib, so haven't had the sound up too loud. I guess I could wear headphones, but that would require me getting up out of bed at night, and who wants to do that?
Ost, I'm right there with you. That was about 12 years ago was the last time I listened to a video game all the way from start to finish.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to parts of it. I've played, during the daylight hours, some on the TV in the living room to get the full effect. Like when I first started the game, that's how I played it on the big screen with the volume all the way up when I first got the game. And whenever I hit a cutscene, I do try to like bump the volume up a little bit just to hear the voice acting as best as I can. But I just, not the time of my life where I have a lot to say about the sound design. I do remember, and I've noticed a little bit, in some of the areas in this game, but I do remember from 3 that there's a lot of ambient sound, like you'd move next to a waterfall, and you'd hear it, you would get quieter as you walked away, which is something that has not been done in like the more classic Dragon Quest games, like the 2D style games. You usually only see that in the 3D stuff. So whenever they do that, I really appreciate it. It really makes it a whole lot more immersive.
Oh yeah, jumping in on that, I did also, notice that little things like, you can hear birds chirping in the background and you can hear like the poison swamps bubbling. I actually was like, what is that noise? Is like the washing machine running upstairs? And no, it was just the swamp.
I think it was the fountain I walked by, possibly up in Cole, that I was like, oh, look at that, listen to that.
Well,
Who else
while we're
Paul.
still talking about sound, I was trying to scroll through the notes to see if it came up again later, but while we're talking about sound, I did notice that a lot of the voice acting is sort of inconsistently applied, which kind of throws me for a loop. And mainly like just in the same cutscene where you have characters that are voice acted speaking to other characters who aren't, struck me as kind of strange. Because like then the ones who aren't, you have to press the confirm button to advance the dialogue. So, and then the voice acted characters, you don't. So I'll just forget that I don't have to, or that I have to do it, and then the text screen will sit there for like a minute waiting on me.
That happened to me too.
Yeah.
And there was a day one patch that came out that added some more voicing to it. Actually,
really?
I didn't see what the difference was, but I was kind of intrigued by that.
I really don't
Wonder-
remember that happening with some characters being voiced and some not in the same cutscene.
My
Welcome to,
example that I was going to
Capcom's
talk about later.
Trails series. They do that all the time.
But the one example I can think of off the top of my head that I was going to talk about later is in Dragon Quest 1, there's a scene with the princess and she is voiced and the bad guy is not. And it goes back and forth and it's really weird.
Yeah,
And the bad guy is voiced later, but not in that
Okay.
particular.
Yeah, I guess I kind of maybe clocked that as, big, ominous, scary, disembodied voice that's just kind of beaming itself into her soul. But okay.
Yeah, if he was consistently not voiced, then that would make sense. But he does have a voice later on, so then it's weird.
Yeah, it's not like a big deal or anything. It's just it struck me as strange more than anything else. Because 3 HD was not like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Did
I feel like
3
maybe
HD
there
have
were-
multiple characters talking in one scene?
I was gonna say, I feel like 3 had a lot less dialogue cutscenes.
Less back and
Everything
forth.
was everyone was like the king like telling you what you have to do, or something along those lines.
Or Zoma giving you a speech or something like that. It was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, you're right. It was mostly just like one character talking to somebody else, kind of deal.
Well, my feedback on the sound.
No, go ahead, Paul.
Okay. My feedback on the sound, which I mostly really enjoy, and I do agree that if you have characters talking in a cutscene, then they all should speak out loud if anyone does. But I love all the sound. But just like in part 3, there's parts where you can pet a cat or a dog, and you get on-screen text of them saying meow or woof or whatever. But I really think there should be a sound effect for that. Like it would be so easy to have a cute little unique sound effect, and there's plenty of JRPGs that do have that kind of sound. So I think these games should too.
Oh yeah, we were talking about that on your stream when you were playing it, where it would be you take that one step further. Like you have some scenes where a cat is like purring, and then make that like vibrate your controller. That'd be hilarious.
That'd be
so
awesome.
cool.
I will say you can trigger one dog to make a sound at you.
Oh, that's true. I know what you're talking about.
One dog in the
You gotta
entire
say no.
series. Yes, you gotta say
You got
no.
to say no to a particular question, and you'll get the sound.
Okay, well, at least there's one then.
Yeah.
Going off of
Now
cats
they
and
have
dogs
gateway to do
should
more.
going off of cats and dogs should have sounds. There is one other NPC creature that I think should have a voice in DQ1, and I don't. I'm like, because how deep into spoiler territory are we
Is
going?
it in a wooded area?
Yes, it is. I'm talking about Ghoulian the slime, who you can wobble with.
I wish there was an animation for wobbling with him.
Yes, I did wish that would happen. Yes.
Would you wibble and wobble with me?
No.
You tell him, ladies.
Oh boy.
I love Ghoulian. He made my day.
Always good having that. I think everything I was going to say, Bluestar aided me into going first with the string section since I noticed that. But I'll say what everybody else said too about the ambient sounds. It was excellent all around. It looks great. Played it on the Switch too, butter smooth. Sounded wonderful. Wrap it up this talk with you, Pendy.
I also love the ambient sounds. My particular example, which I don't think was brought up yet, was the crackle of the fire from the torches. That was one of the first times I noticed it, and I thought that was really cool. And yeah, it was also in 3. So I loved the attention to detail and the sound design for these games. Been great. The music has been amazing. My contribution to what I thought of the music was playing Dragon Quest II and getting the opening menu song, and now playing it years later, realizing that song is also the pop song, which is either called Only Lonely Boy or sometimes referred to as Joyous Song or Love Song. And I'd only learned about the pop song part of it, I don't know, a few years ago or so. And so I'd never played Dragon Quest II since then. And so now playing it, now realizing now the song is just playing in the back of my head when the menu's going, which is hilarious. But
which one came first? It was Dragon Quest II that came first, right? Or do I have that backwards?
I don't know. Someone told me that in a Discord server the other day that the Dragon Quest II game came first, but I could have sworn that I read somewhere that they released the pop song first as a promotion for the game. Maybe maybe it was afterward. I don't know. But there's even the box art is on the back of the promotional CD that you could get for that song. But Sugiyama obviously did both, and he had done, he had experience with doing pop songs. Like he'd done a bunch of commercial jingles for years. So, but overall, I mean, the graphics were fantastic, just like in 3, very detailed. My favorite parts so far have been in Dragon Quest II, seeing the castle of Canik and Moonbrook and Mildenhall and how differently detailed they are. Really loved seeing that. The English voice acting, which I've only done so far, has been excellent. Just except there's this one of Moonbrook's battle cries. She's got a few in the fights when she does a physical attack that happens sometimes. I can't do it justice, but it's basically a very high pitched and forced. It's just it throws me off a little bit.
I know which one you're talking about, but honestly, her voice actor has consistently wowed me with how she is
emotion.
Very in character. Yeah, so much emotion, and she's just in that sprite. I swear.
Oh yeah, because there's that. I just got to the scene where she finally grieves about her loss, and that scene is amazing. She does it so much justice to the emotion of what that character is going through. It's just that one physical battle cry. That's it. Everything else is fantastic.
There's always one awkward one, even with the best voice actor you can get. There's going to be a bad one. So.
Oh yeah,
blame the director.
Yeah, exactly. No, we talked about there were some places where I thought it was odd that there was no voice acting, which would have made sense for voice acting. I remember we talked a little bit about that in 3 too, but overall, just loved it when they did put it in there. Bluestar mentioned this before, but I want to expand on it. I just love the consistency of the geography between 3 and 1. My example would be I'm so used to seeing Tantagel Castle separated into a castle and a town in Dragon Quest 1. But in this version of 1, I really appreciated that Tantagel remains the same from 3 to 1. Or, Bluestar had mentioned ruins. So how the tower where you save Rubis in 3 is the same in 1, but it's just completely ruined. And it just makes for a seamless transition between 3 and 1 and eventually 2, which is just very cool. I love it so much.
So I did look it up, and it looks like the pop song for Dragon Quest II was released 5 days before the game was released.
Oh, that's what I thought. Yeah, it was a promotional tool for the game, basically.
Yep.
Pretty neat.
I had something else to say. Oh, with Tantagel being added, with the castle and the town being as one. The other thing that is interesting, because when you play the original Dragon Quest 1, the castle is on the opposite side of the town.
Yeah, it's this weird geography in the sequels, in the other versions. So that's why I love the consistency of that. Of this one. Oh, and with the song, going back to Only Lonely Boy, that woman who sang it, I think she performed it a lot back when the game came out, but then she didn't perform it for like decades. And she recently put on a concert for the first time doing that song in a very good while. I saw it on X, and I thought that was wonderful that she came back and sang it. And this was preceding the remakes.
Nice. Alrighty, so let's get to everything else. That was our sound and graphics chat. All right, so basically anything that we're not gonna talk about too much anywhere else. What have y'all played so far? It's been 5 days for most of us. What have you noticed? Any and all impressions? I was gonna have Woodus go first here, but he got called into work tonight, so we'll start with Bluestar again.
Oh,
Yep, but thou must. He had to go in.
But thou must. I have to go first again.
Yes.
So I did. I did have a late start since I was playing Rogue Galaxy for that first day. But I was able to make it through all of Dragon Quest I, and I just got the Princess of Canic fully in my party in Dragon Quest II. I'm loving every second, every added detail, even the most minor characters. They seem so very real in how they react to things. Like in Dragon Quest I, you get, there's a human element to even like the King of Tantagel and, everything that they add. I've especially noticed, and I mean, this might be like a personal thing, is that I think they nailed it on developing the female characters in the game. I mean, obviously, the Princess of Moonbrook, we've talked about how powerful it is to actually, see her go through that loss, which is something that I feel like you don't actually really get to see in the other versions. It's just, kind of you change her back to a human from a dog, and it's like, okay, we're gonna go kill Hargon now. But there's so much more, like progression there, and so much more like character motivation and everything that goes into that. I also love the Princess of Canic. She is fantastic. I love her. She's adorable and also, very relatable as a character. And even Gwaelin, they came back and they made this princess who's just, like captured by the dragon, and you rescue her and you carry her back to her castle, and she falls in love with you. They actually made her into a character with some development and, some strength to her, which I wasn't expecting going in, but I was very, very pleasantly surprised.
Yes, 100%. I'm with you.
Yeah,
they've done a lot, like with Gwaelin. I haven't touched DQ2 yet, so I don't really know anything about it, but they've done a lot with Gwaelin. I've noticed. I was like you, I wasn't expecting that at all, just, because DQ1 is a very straightforward plot, but they've fleshed that out quite a lot.
Yeah, and I'm like, I think maybe other people have mentioned this before, but all of the little things that they added to Dragon Quest I, it all feels like it was there all the time to me. It doesn't feel like it was like spliced in or anything. It just is, more framing to the story that was in the original. And something that I also noticed as everything was going on is the stakes in Dragon Quest I. They start off pretty much like, hey, there's this guy who's kind of taken up residence in the castle across the water. He kidnapped the princess. We're not really sure what's gonna happen, but it's not great. And as the game goes on, more and more bad stuff starts to happen in the world, and that sense of urgency that we got to stop this was something that I don't think I've really felt in other versions of the game, or even in other games in the series as much. So just this sort of building, the building stress of it all. And, the other things of just, seeing Dragon Quest I hero running in to, protect everybody from monsters by himself while everybody else is like, we're a party of 4 and we're struggling. And, he runs in, beats up all the monsters, gets beaten senseless himself, and dies so many times in the process, but luckily he has save scumming powers. But it just kind of, it makes me appreciate him as a hero way more than I did, because, Dragon Quest I, it's a classic. It's, the first and all of this, but he's not like the hero that you would pick out as your favorite. I think, for the most part. But now that you have all of this other context and all of the things that he goes through and the weight of, what he has to do by himself, I think they did a very good job making all of that feel real.
Yeah, it characterizes him more.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
I mean,
He's a character. He's not just
it's,
you.
yeah, it's not just a stand-in for the player as much as it was
Mhm.
back when it originally started. I think telling his story second, though, Bluestar, I think like what you're saying about how he did it all by himself, like that means more when you played 3 first. So I think you're spot on. I think you're spot
Yeah,
on playing it chronologically.
You sit down and play these in the chronological order, and yeah, it's a wild swing from 4-person highly customizable to 1 to then right back up to 4 real super duper characters. All 3 of these games are completely different. You've got 1 character and a bunch of just random stand-ins, and it's just you, and then it's 4 fully realized characters with plot arcs. Quite interesting that way. So Jen, why don't you keep talking, and
Yeah.
what are your impressions?
Well, number 1, I finished 1 last night. I do want to do a replay carrying a certain someone around, and I do have a save where I think I should be able to just jump right in and do that. Because I did hear there's different scenes if you take that person with you. So, but I was excited to beat the Dragon Lord. I also did perhaps have a bad dream, and had the consequences of the bad dream happen before I went against the Dragon Lord again.
There's a trophy for having the bad dream.
That is why I did it. Plus, I love Dragon Quest Builders, as I said, so I wanted to trigger some Dragon Quest Builders. But I didn't realize, and I didn't check my inventory before I went against our good friend, the Dragon Lord, after that, and that was definitely an unpleasant surprise to not have what I needed in order to beat him. So, I had to that over. So that was fun. That was a fun experience. Very, very rookie mistake I made. So right now I'm searching for the Windbreaker in Dragon Quest II. So just kind of riffing off some stuff that Bluestar said in Dragon Quest One, like some of those extra details about the character. It was always kind of funny when I played Dragon Warrior, Dragon Quest One, whatever version I played. I always felt like the princess was like forcing herself on you, and I was always like, this is so awkward. Why does she? She wants to marry me. She's kind of this character, and I didn't like that. And then in this one, I was like, no, I don't. I'll say no because I want the but thou must, but I actually do think they're a good couple. So I like that they built it in a way where you kind of rooted for them more. Funny thing that I noticed is when you're holding the princess, she holds the torch for you when you're carrying her. So I also thought it was cool that you hold a torch instead of a lantern. Like you hold the lantern in 3, you hold the lantern in 2, but in 1 you hold a torch because that's what you would have bought at the store were torches. I thought that was a nice little nod to the original without forcing you to buy the torches and have the black screen and all that stuff. So I thought that was really cool. And I like the different sprites and the different, way that they, you're carrying her. And then if you get into a battle, you're carrying her, she's standing behind you. Apparently if you get wiped out while she's with you, instead of it saying you have died, it says your party has been wiped out or your party has been defeated or whatever it says, in the end of 3 or 2 if you die with a party. And I thought that was kind of a nice touch to be like, she's your party even if she's not fighting, right? So I thought all that stuff was nice and it built more. I'll say Dragon Quest One has a few get good moments that I enjoyed. It was definitely much more challenging than the original, and I enjoyed that. And definitely there was a boss or two where I had to use abilities that I've never ever used in a Dragon Quest game before because it was the only way to win. I am not the kind of guy who's gonna cast Kaklang and try to hide my way through a fight. But I had to kind of use those different types of strategies because there's just no other way to beat these guys. So I thought that was cool. I enjoyed it a lot. It
100%.
definitely it made you think. It made you have to strategize very differently than someone like me who just I go for buffing and I go for power, and I couldn't really do those things in those fights. It's really hard to do that on a one-on-one.
Yeah, I definitely am the best defense is a good offense kind of player normally, and this is the hardest I've ever had to think in one of these games to get through these things. I did play on Draconian mode.
Oh wow!
But I've also heard that I mean, it seems like it's still not easy on normal difficulty. So like, it's a whole thing. But even just, he's doing some really hard stuff, and he gets a lot of tries at it, but he does it really well by the end. I will say I have never really had to learn patterns of bosses before this game. I had to know what they were going to do before they did it in order to win.
Yes. That was the last thing that I had to do, was to really think about that and do and do the defensive things that normally I would I'll just have someone cast buff on me. Well, no, I can't do that because I'm the only guy here and I just need something stronger than buff. I need something stronger than waving around my fairy foil, So
yeah. Although the fairy foil did save my butt several times.
Oh yeah, totally, totally.
But it does get to the point
quick enough.
It does get to the point where it's I can't waste a turn on this.
All right, nice. Speaking of carrying around a princess, Aust, what are your impressions?
Yes, I am a princess.
I knew it.
I have been carrying Gwaelin around the whole time because I usually do that, and I just wanted to see how it was in this game. There's a lot of added text. I wouldn't say a lot per cutscene, but pretty much every cutscene that you have, she has at least a line, sometimes more, to comment on what's going on. So I'm almost at this point, I'm almost a little bothered that it's optional because you'll easily miss out on a lot of that. And she actually I don't know how much we want to spoil here, as far as mechanics go, so I won't go too much farther into that, but
I will say that even if you do bring her back to the castle, she still does talk to you through her necklace.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
she still got that
you get some of them. I would assume that you probably get more if she's there with you.
Yeah, does she comment on what's going on in a cutscene?
She'll break in sometimes, yeah.
Okay. I was just wondering because it does seem like it would be, I don't know, strange to have a disembodied voice commenting on events that don't necessarily relate to her immediately, directly, or what's going on, or the main plot directly. I would have to see, I guess, just to see the difference, but it seemed like there was, there's a lot added there.
I would believe that that she does more if she's with you, but you don't lose out on everything if you bring her home. You also get a really cute scene between the two of them if you bring her home. So
I wonder if I should take her back at some point just so I can get the ultimate, use the ultimate key at Tantagel, because I haven't unlocked all the chests there yet because I haven't been back. I just reached the Dragon Lord, so
yeah. Oof.
As far as difficulty, I've been playing on normal because I didn't feel like spending a ton of time with this like I did with Dragon Quest 3. And it's not hard on normal, but you definitely still have to think about what you're doing, because you can go into a fight. It doesn't even have to be a boss fight, and if you're not doing it right, if you're just straight attacking, you're not going to win a lot of the time.
Nope, no, you're not. Learned that. Read my review.
Yeah, and I do kind of like that because DQ1 has always just been a grind game. You get stronger than the other monsters, and then you can handle them. And I do like that you have to think about your gear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can't just pick the biggest number.
Exactly.
Right.
Got to keep all the things in your inventory and be like, crap, we need magic defense for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I don't usually when I play a Dragon Quest game, you get to the next town, you check the armor, and then you sell your old stuff and get new stuff. And in this one, I learned pretty quickly to keep a boomerang with me at all times, just because it's faster and battling. But then once you get to a boss, you need boss specific gear. For the green dragon, you need the dragon's bane claws, and Like it's just a new way of a new approach that none of the other games have really done this way.
No, not with this granularity. Alrighty, Paul, what are you excited about?
Well, I feel bad because I just haven't had as much free time as you guys. Like my job just keeps me horribly busy sometimes. But I am. Let's see. I've gotten to Galen Holm and Cole. I need to be rescuing the princess. I definitely plan to hold on to her. A couple of things that I enjoyed. Firstly, in the starting town, the girl who follows you around. If you stay at the end with her and you're playing on a platform with achievements, then you'll get an achievement for doing that, which is fun.
Yes, you will.
It's like, I guess the game is probably still rated E, but
I actually didn't do that originally, and then I didn't realize that it was a thing I was supposed to do until after I had returned the princess to the castle, and I was like, "Gosh, I hope I can still do that."
If she's with you, the woman won't follow you.
Oh yeah.
I was also wondering if you don't do it with the lady in Tantagel and you do it with Gwaelin later, do you still get an achievement for it or not?
The description of the achievement made it sound like you would, so probably.
I think I did with Gwaelin. I think I took Gwaelin when I went to the inn. I have to double check.
You might as
The
well take
achievement
everybody,
picture.
You only live
Right?
once.
It's a party.
In your pants.
The only thing that's missing.
I'm not going to say
The
it.
only thing that's missing from this version that was in previous versions is that the innkeeper makes that joke if you bring Gwaelin to the inn, which they don't have in this version, which is kind of sad. But it is nice that they at least have that as an achievement.
Yeah, better than nothing.
Mhm.
And along similar lines, I was glad that in Cole you can get the original classic Puff Puff.
Kind of.
Yes, for which Gwaelin has special dialogue if you take her there.
Oh, that's
cool.
fun. I look forward to seeing that. But yeah, in later games, you can't get a real Puff Puff. It's like it's just a joke of some kind. But in this one, it's like, yeah, I get to live out my Puff Puff fantasy, man. Whatever that is.
Well,
Did she say something about it being an egg?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
totally. It's not a real Puff Puff. Or not a real traditional Puff Puff.
I thought she was just giving
the Puff Puff is just the best boiled egg you've ever had.
I
Exactly.
thought she was giving you an egg in addition to the Puff Puff, man.
No.
Aw.
George
Which I thought was
Costanza,
hilarious.
eating in bed,
Don't be greedy. You can have both.
Sorry for that horrendous spoiler, everybody.
Oh yeah. Oops.
My heart is broken. But anyway, I'm loving it. I can't wait to get through it and then go on to part 2.
All right. Well, speaking of part 2, I think I'm the only one here who's finished both games. I absolutely love what they did in both games. Honestly, the story, Bluestar, you mentioned it, and Jen, you mentioned it. The voice acting, especially in 2, and the emotion that gets put into everything. It just really, storytelling wise, these games are amazing. I know they came out with that dumb quote that was probably way misread somehow about adding 1 million lines to this or 1 million words or something. They didn't even add 1 million characters, but there's a lot more story, and that's really cool. I definitely played it for the story. Especially loved in 2 that a lot of the sub bosses show up a lot more often. You get a lot more bosses in Dragon Quest 1 than there ever was. It's more than just the Green Dragon and the Dragon Lord at the end, but they all kind of pop in there. It's the monster of the week kind of thing, where in 2 they're like really drawn out. It's pretty cool. They pop in and out of the game throughout. They're part of the story. And just I don't know everything. I was a little annoyed by 1, and when I rated these games, I gave them basically an 8 out of 10 because I thought the Dragon Quest 1 was a 7. It wasn't even the bosses, and it's funny because I don't hear anybody else complaining about this except for everybody that reviewed the game. If you look at the reviews when they came out, RPG Fan was an 80. IGN mentioned the brutal difficulty of 1, and I never felt the difficulty so much in the boss battles. Like, I knew they were going to be, it's a boss battle. You got to figure it out. Get good, be equipped, do different techniques. But for me, like in Dragon Quest 1, it was just the random encounters that kicked my ass. I died like 50 or more times. Oh, yeah.
Tree faces and gold golems.
Well,
Yep.
the gold
gosh, yeah.
golems, yeah, those
It
I
took-
ran from every
well-
time.
It was, I think there was one that had 2 shadows and something else, or 2 something else's and a shadow, and it was in the very southwest, right before you turn the corner, and you're headed over to the mini metal guy's place. But I went there at level 16, and there was no way. Like, okay, I was just dead. I couldn't heal myself and enough. And it was when I started encountering groups of 5 monsters or groups of 3 where 2 of them were something that would attack twice and one was the other one. Like that was just what was brutal to me. I was like, oh my gosh, like I can't do anything. You know, in 2 rounds I might be able to get 1 hit and heal, but I'm absorbing 10 hits. Or what was really fun is where there was groups of 2 and 1, and the one would have some sort of status effect attack. I'm like, now I got a status effect on me. Plus I've been hit 8 to 10 times.
The amount
And all
of
I've
things
had,
that that dazzle you is so
Yeah.
rough. I was like, I
only
can.
lasted like 3 turns, so it wasn't
That's
terrible. Like
that's a long time when you're
But
taking
if you're
like,
dazzled against 5 monsters, that's 15 hits. 15 freebies.
Yeah.
like I can't see anything. I have played these games in the past where I've been, kind of stubborn to the point where it's like I'm not going to flee from any battles. We're going to do this, the good way. We're going to keep that times fled counter at 0. There was a certain point where I was just like, screw that, man. We are running the hell away.
remember, you're one dude. You
Yeah.
can run.
You're one dude versus the
Oh, I
world.
did.
Honestly, I mean, everybody who reviewed it is right that the difficulty is kind of brutal.
Yeah,
But
and
it
like
was-
I said, like
It
when I
was
commented
kind
about
of
the
it was kind
difficulty-
of it was kind of
Yeah.
refreshingly brutal.
Yep.
Like,
I agree.
and I mean, it's a short enough game where it's not like a huge slog to get through it when you're, stuck on one fight for a couple hours at a time. So,
couple hours. Oh my gosh.
I spent half a day
my-
stuck
that would be
on.
my-
I spent half a day stuck on one boss. So.
Oh,
I can't do that sort of thing anymore.
no, I was gonna say that is wait till you're in your late 40s, Blue. No, I you know what? Overall, again, everything that went into it, I thought Dragon Quest II was a perfect game. My overall impression of that is just like chef kiss perfection. Dragon Quest 1, it was honestly just that those ones that I was getting multiple attacked on and stuff like that. And I was just like, come on, didn't we learn the lesson? Didn't they actually go back and nerf some of that in the Dragon Quest 3 post game with a post game release? Like, you did it in the post game, and you had to fix that in Dragon Quest 3. We maybe pull back a little bit on that.
Yeah,
Like, I want to figure out the
random
boss fights.
mobs
I
getting
don't want to figure out
multiple.
random. My favorite, and I was talking about this last night on a podcast, and they're like, "Ooh, that was fun." I'm like, "No, it wasn't." I ran into 7 liquid metal slimes. 7 liquid metal slimes. Not one ran away. I was dead by round 2.
They can take you.
14 hits. I mean, how am I going to survive that? And they're all
In
probably
this
like
game,
the upper. They weren't just sizz. They were, sizzle by
Sizzle.
that time. And
Yeah,
yep.
Sizzle.
yeah, in this game, even the metals want to kill you. Like they're not afraid.
Yeah. They were like, "It's just you." I got me and my 6 boys. That's
It's
you.
just one guy.
You're gonna give us
Yep,
the
don't-
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. They're like, ooh, a hero. That's extra experience.
Somebody call an ambulance, but not for us.
I will say the one thing I really, really wish they would have done is I wanted to see how many times I died. I really do think it was in the 50s. I did try to keep track, but because of the restart battle and because of the reload from an autosave, 10 steps away, like my clear data has like 0 deaths.
Same.
Oh, that's a dirty lie. I died so many times.
You say
many
say 50. I was probably over 100. Honestly,
Oh,
it was brutal.
well, honestly, a lot of it was my stubbornness. I'd run into that battle. I'm like, I can do this. And I will say one other thing. Why can't we get full heal in Dragon Quest 1? Like,
Meditation.
I know that
Meditation.
there's meditation, yeah, but I needed something better earlier.
I needed more heal earlier than they gave it to
Earlier
me.
than Caitlin,
But-
yeah.
Yes. Well, that was, you know what? That was my problem. That's when I got down there, and I think right now I can tell you what level you get more healed just because I knew when I finally could actually push through.
But that's a scroll. That's a scroll in Caitlin.
No, yes, which means I got it shortly after, what's the second? You had heal, then you had...
Mid-heal.
Mid-heal.
Mid-heal, that's it. Mid-heal. I always forget mid-heal. Mid-heal. Like, when I learned that, I can tell you what level that was because it was so game-changing.
Yeah.
It's like,
Level
finally,
yeah.
I can
Level
stay
17 because
ahead.
they kept
Yes, it is.
they
It is level 17.
They
They kept
the
the-
same level.
they kept a lot of the spells that he learns in the original at the same level.
That's why the scrolls
I
were
think
like such
most
a
of them.
different thing.
Mm-hmm.
That nose for treasure
I'm
scroll
ambivalent
saved
about
my
the
life.
scrolls.
I know, right?
Actually, my funny story from Dragon Quest II is that I was walking around and I made it all the way to Dragon Lord's castle and I was like, I need to find a nose for treasure scroll because all of these like invisible things on the ground.
Oh, I didn't realize.
I did
you already
not.
had that.
I looked it up and I was like, oh.
Somebody on your team already had that. I was
Yep.
laughing so hard when I realized why that character had it.
Yes,
I was like, that
and
is brilliant.
it's adorable. But I was waiting for it to happen. I think because one gave me a false impression that it would come in the form of a scroll again, so I was waiting to find the item and not checking what I already knew. So yeah, I was like, I'm like trying not to look things up, but that's one that I'm gonna look up just so that like I have some form of notion of okay, what am I getting myself into? How many dungeons am I gonna have to run through again to get all of these things? Which I guess was a good thing that I looked it up because man, I felt stupid.
Dragon Quest 2, I did so much backtracking in Dragon Quest 2.
I'm already noticing that I'm gonna have to do a ton more. I'm gonna have to do a ton
Yep.
more just because of all the locked treasure chests.
The locked treasure
That was
chest.
it. The lag
It's
treasure
evil.
chests are horrible in Dragon Quest 2. It's
Yeah.
literally from almost the beginning of the game.
It is.
I
Literally the
started-
first place you go.
Yep. I started a list and then I kind of just gave up. I'm like, it's everywhere. Give up.
Just
It's
have to
everywhere.
go back to everywhere once, and it's like
Yep.
extra. It's extra frustrating because it's not just okay. I'm gonna need the thief key because then you get somewhere and it's like I need the ultimate key for that one. I need the magic key for this
Mhm.
one. It's ridiculous.
So it
But
was going
honestly-
everywhere multiple more times.
Yes.
What I'm also noticing though is that going through and getting those items is worth it because a lot of the time
Yeah.
you'll find something game changing in one of those chests. Like,
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
it-
but
in Dragon Quest One, I think the thing that got me was that the more secret spots appeared towards the very end of the game. randomly.
yeah,
And it doesn't really tell you that in any sort of way that would make sense. And like a very key item that I would strongly recommend getting if you're struggling towards the end is in one of those secret spots. The only way to get it, it's the only place it is, and it's a little obnoxious. I will say that like it's a secret spot that just randomly appeared somewhere you already went. And like I think there's like 4 secret spots that just randomly appear towards the tail end of the game, and that was just
Yeah.
kind of silly to me.
I mean, story-wise, it kind of makes sense just because of the way the land was doing things.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What I also found out that I did not realize when I had originally played 3, and maybe this isn't a setting in 3, but you can go into the settings and turn it so that the secret spots show up on your map.
No, that's new.
It's new
That's
for
new?
this one, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't just get really stressed out in 3 for no reason.
No.
But that was a very helpful setting for me, just so, because the amount of oh my god, did I miss something was just too much. At least that way, it's like okay, I know it's like around here, and it's like okay, we got all the things.
No, that was definitely something. And you know what? It's funny because a lot of my complaints, and I know Austin shared them too, is because we're reviewing the game. We've got 0 people that we can talk to about it. And they're, like you said, you're trying not to look things up. I couldn't look a damn thing up. Especially stuff that they moved around. That, like I said, that's why I contacted Square Enix, was like, hey,
So you would have just suffered without Nose for Treasure in Dragon Quest 2 is what I'm hearing.
Oh, man. You know what? I'll be honest. In Dragon Quest 3, I was like, I'm not gonna... I didn't worry too much about nose for treasure and missing stuff. And this one, I spent so much time and doing my extra couple laps of the world trying to find something while waiting for a reply from Square Enix. Like, I just kept lapping the world and kept doing stuff. I'm reminded of when we played Dragon Quest III, Austin and I got stuck with where to find Erdrick's sword. And it very clearly tells you in the town, like, oh, it's over there in the house with by the tree or something like that. And neither one of us thought, oh, it's in this town. And we both spent 2-3 days going across the world over and over and over again, just looking for that. And I had that in my head as I'm playing it this time. And I'm like,
well, considering that it's not Erdrick's sword in Dragon Quest III yet, that might have been your problem. You also, don't you also have to like make it?
Aurora Blade, isn't it? Yeah. So that was the thing. It was like, oh, hey, I had the stuff. Or I just didn't have the rusty or whatever sword, the broken sword, Ortega's broken sword, isn't it?
Oh, weren't you looking for the hammer to help make the sword in that
maybe
in
that
that
was the
town
hammer.
and you couldn't find it? Yeah,
The
I remember
forging
that
hammer.
story from before.
Okay, the forging hammer that you were looking for, not Erdrick's. Okay.
It's a glowing, it's a freaking glowing spot in that house. Yeah, it's even glowing. I just gave up on that. I was like, well, I'm just not going to find this in the game. And that's the way it is. And 2 days later, Austin's like, you're never going to believe this, dude. I found it. It was right. It was literally right that next house next to the guy who says search for the house by the trees or something. Like scouring the world for some like little hut hidden by the trees or something. The worlds, should I say, because by then you were in both. So I liked it. I think we're all in agreement here. These are excellent versions. Dragon Quest 1 frustrated me. Dragon Quest 2 did a little bit. I just knew wish I knew one thing, and it'll never frustrate me again if I play this again anytime. So it's all right. It's fine. I should have just kept going. Keep on going. What does Dory say? Keep on, or the fish, keep on swimming.
Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming.
Just keep swimming. I should have just kept swimming.
Keep swimming.
Not necessarily diving, because I didn't need to do that part yet, but that's a whole nother story.
Spoilers! I haven't gotten that far yet.
All I'm telling you is it exists, and that is, the marketing has told us that. That was like their last big reveal was, yep. Yes. I won't say anything else about it. But Pendy, you've been waiting forever.
Sorry, Pendy.
Yep.
That's fine.
We're on part 3 here of like 7 questions that we're going to ask each other. Pendy, where are you? I don't even know what the question was. What have you noticed? Any and all your big impressions so far?
So for me in Dragon Quest 1, I'm up just past Weirdwood on the way to Cantlin. I just beat the boss there. Man, this is definitely not your father's Dragon Quest 1. As we have gone over so far. I mean, they've added so much meat to Dragon Quest 1 with additional story scenes, expanded exploration, new towns, bosses, additional monsters from other games, more enemies to fight at once, of course, in dungeons. And one of my favorite parts so far is the whole sequence with the Green Dragon. It was just so epic in this version, the way they set it up and the different story scenes. And then when you actually see him and his reveal, it was just really cool. I love how they did that. One
of the things that I did really appreciate about that scene is the callback to the dialogue or like kind of the feel of how Gwaelin behaved in the original that showed up in that scene. And I was like, I thought that was cool. And no one's saying anything, so maybe nobody else picked up on it and I'm just nuts, but...
So what are you referencing specifically?
Yeah, I was going to say, you're going to have to be a little more specific.
Okay. So the scene where you walk into the room where the Green Dragon is, there's an illusion and you talk to the princess.
Yeah.
And just the way that she originally talks to you.
Oh.
I think is the dialogue that happens when you like rescue her in the original or something, or at least it's way more similar to that.
That's cool.
But then it's you kind of go to a different place. It's there's a whole bunch of illusions in that, and then it ends up shattering the illusion and going from there. So
I see what you're referencing now. That's cool. And I didn't.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together on that one.
I was like this.
Really
I saw that happen, and I was like, this is the Gwaelin I remember, but not the one that I've seen in all of the cutscenes up until now.
Yeah, and that's another point I was going to bring up is how I loved so much how the Princess Gwaelin has a character arc and a story. That was amazing. They did such a good job.
Yeah.
And she
her
like
in this game.
and she like went through some shit, man. Like
Oh, yeah.
I have
That was traumatic.
she wasn't just like chilling with the dragon sitting next to her for the whole time, just twiddling her thumbs. Yeah, was
And even that would have been bad enough. Like, imagine being stuck in a dungeon with a dragon, just like can't do anything, in jail, basically. And then on top, they're like, no, that's not enough. We need her to suffer.
Yeah.
They treated her just like they treated me. 5 monsters at a time.
I mean, yeah, no, they both went through it.
Sick of the liquid metal slimes on her.
Yeah, that's right, man.
Yeah, I also appreciated the little story arcs of the new characters that they had in Dragon Quest One, like the Tantiville guards that show up in the beginning of the game, and the other band of heroes who I'm hoping are showing up more later, but don't tell me. But all that was great. They all had little story arcs to them, especially the Tantiville guards, and backstory and all this other stuff.
They're such minor characters, but they feel so real.
Oh, they do. Definitely.
Come on,
and,
Robin
one of
Hood
those
came back too.
Yeah, and had a "but thou must" joke if you say no to him, which is
Yes,
amazing and hilarious.
You always say no to Robin Hood.
That's great how they.
But you never can.
But thou must.
Old English.
But thou must becomes like a running gag in the whole game, which is great. I appreciated that.
That's great.
But one of those scenarios with those other characters I was talking about involves a scene showing how the Dragon Lord kidnapped the princess and got the Spear of Light. And this is what I was hoping for, as I've talked about it before, because it's similar-ish to the Game Boy Color opening that I was enamored with. That was one of the things, like, oh, do that opening again. They didn't do that. They just made a new opening, and then they had that scene later, basically, and it's just great stuff. Loved it. As everyone has said so far, the battles can be very challenging, and I'll go into the mechanics in a future question that we'll have. But just as an example, like right before I switched to previewing Dragon Quest 2, I ran into my first gold golem encounter that you guys were talking about before. And there was 2 of them at the same time.
Ooh.
The first one hit me for 100 HP, basically half my health. The other mustard strength.
Ooh,
and when I saw that, I was like, I just about shit my pants, and I just ran away immediately. I was like, nope, I'm definitely going to lose this.
This one's going to hit harder.
See, my experience is 100 damages, rookie numbers. They would just immediately do a desperate attack on me for like twice my max HP, and I was like, well, load the autosave.
Yep.
It took a very long time for me to survive any amount of hit from a gold golem.
I never beat one.
Right.
It's one of the few monsters I never went back. I never tried that again.
It reminded me of some of the. It reminded me of some of the encounters in the post game of Dragon Quest 3, the Temple of Trials, where there were just some encounters where like, nope, I am not dealing with this. I'm just going to run away, and I'll wait until I'm stronger, or just never do it.
Yeah.
You definitely had to reconfigure what you thought about, going after all the fights in this game for sure. Because I think, I forget which one of you were saying like, I always like fight every encounter, and I think it was you, Platty, was saying like, I never run away, but this game, you got to run away sometimes, or you're gonna die.
All the time.
Bluestar, but I don't ever run away either. That's how you get experience. That's how you don't grind. Is don't run away.
Normally I'm all about.
There's no way to do that here.
I'm all about that too, because people who do that usually like they run away from like every other encounters, like, and then they go to a boss and they wonder why they're under leveled or whatever. But just I mean, there's just some scenarios here where you have to run away and maybe do it another day, kind of deal.
Yeah, no, it was definitely. I know I'm gonna hit with this status effect. I know I'm at max HP, but it ain't gonna matter. I'm not gonna last more than a few rounds, and I ain't taking them out. Been here, party wiped by that. Fool me twice. I am not doing that.
But yeah, it's my impression.
I may not have gotten good, but I got smart.
Yeah, my impression of Dragon Quest 1 is very positive so far. I've been loving the game, and I'll talk about 2 in the next question.
Yeah, I know. I just started talking. I think a lot of us did. So we'll go straight to the next question and say, anyone start Dragon Quest 2 so far? What do you think, and what do you name your people?
I used the default names.
Yeah.
I liked Caradoc as the first option, and so I was like, we'll go with it. And then I was like, well, now I guess I kind of have to go with all of them. So that's what we did.
Normally I do default names too, so this time I actually I didn't. I named the hero of one Muns because that's like my husband's nickname. And pretty much if I have a male hero in a game, I name him Muns. If I have a female hero, I name her Jinu because that's like my nickname. But my daughter convinced me to name the hero of two, Munz Jr. So Munz Jr. is my hero, and then I named the Prince and Princess of Kanak after my kids because, you know, they're brother and sister. And then the Princess of Moonbrook I named after my dog, Chloe, because of reasons. So it's great. I'm enjoying it. I am currently looking for the windbreaker. And because of that, you know, I've gotten through enough to have gotten some new scenarios already in the game that I think are really great. I know you guys talked about the Princess of Moonbrook's, like, you know, emotional arc, but the Prince of Kanak had this moment in Moonbrook that his Japanese voice actor just crushed. It was so emotional, and like he was freaking out. And I don't know how it went in English. I hope it was similar, but he was freaking out about like pretty much witnessing his first, you know, death, understanding that like everybody died, and his reaction was just so poignant, and it was just so well voice acted. And so it's just amazing what they can do with this story to make it feel new again after all these years.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, Kanak did have that same poignant moment in English. It sounds like from what you're saying that maybe it was a little bit more gut-wrenching in Japanese, but I definitely do remember getting chills. Like basically every scenario where the cousins are having any sort of interaction, it's just chills. I don't know what it is. They're just whoo. But also they have little personalities too, which is really, really cute. So like the Prince of Kanak is such like a free spirit, and he's a little bit of a dunce to sometimes, but his heart's in the right place and he tries really hard. And you know, it's not his fault that the monsters decide to focus him down all the time.
I never had him die first. Not once. Played the whole game. He never died first. You're all bad players.
It's not.
I literally had him die when I wasn't paying attention to health. Is the only time I had him die, and then my whole party wiped. But other than that, he hasn't died for me yet.
It was like the first encounter that I went into with him. I was like, okay, we're all at full health. Let's go. And then it's like we're up against like 3 monsters, and they're faster than us, and they go pew pew pew, and then he's dead. And it's like, well, I don't know what you want me to do, man.
It's tradition.
I haven't had anybody die yet in 2, but I thought it was hilarious when they were doing the preview at the Tokyo Game Show. The people who were playing it weren't the greatest, and the first person who died was Kanak in their party, and I thought that was great.
Get my screenshot here that I have of Mittenhall dead and Kanak up fighting early in the game.
I also appreciate how everybody has a custom coffin.
Yes, I love that. Color-coded coffins. It's fantastic.
All right. Aust or Paul? We'll start with Aust. Have you played 2 yet at all?
Nope, not even a little bit.
All right.
Just want to do them in order.
Oh, no, that's fine. And I mean, it's been 5 days. I sure as hell didn't beat these games in 5 days.
I'd like to have done the beginning of 2 before the podcast, but I just didn't have the time. But when I do play it, I am going to name the 2 returning characters. I'm going to name them Rickard and Perenelle after their names in Dragon Quest Tact. And I find it very interesting and perhaps bothersome that their names have been changed for this new version. But what can you do?
Perenelle's is the same.
Oh, it is? Okay, cool.
Yeah, for her.
Hooray.
All right. Well, I've obviously beaten it. I think this is the best version of 2 ever. That's not necessarily a hard bar to cross, but they flew over it, not even jumped. Prince of Kanak is amazing as ever. He was my favorite person back in the day, in the Nintendo days. I've always railed. I've always told people that he's not been weak. It's ridiculous. You're just bad players. Sure enough, the person that died first, and I just threw it in our Den chat, was or not den chat, but our behind the scenes chat was Middenhall. He was the only time that I ever had to go pay for revival was him, nobody else.
Oh, and it's a sideways screenshot too.
Yeah,
Everybody's favorite.
Yeah,
No wonder he died. He fell off the wall.
exactly. So I never do default names. I got to do something funny. I made Kanik Yangus because he was going to be stronger. That did lead to some weird ideas in my head. Like, wait a minute, I'm not playing Dragon Quest VIII. I keep calling him Yangus, but I named him Yangus anyway, whatever. I took Moonbrook. I named her Luna Pooch. Luna Pooch. I put, Moonbrook and dog together. Luna Pooch. She was Luna Pooch. And for Kanik, with all the British voice acting, I actually went to like ChatGPT. I'm like, okay, what are some popular English British names? And I think I went about 20 deep, and I picked Saffron as my one since her hair is that color. That was my girl. My favorite one in the game.
She is a pretty flower, and she's a pretty flower and so full of life. So that works.
Yep. I mean, honestly, my only problems I had in this game were problems. I think I said it earlier. I never had a problem when I was younger with the Cave of Roan, or the Cave to Rendark that we have now. This is the most annoying time I've ever had with it, and it's functionally no different than it ever has been. I just didn't have a good map handy, and I was doing this, and I'm like, I don't know if it's the exact map and the exact thing as before, and I've got no way to check it, and who cares? We're just going to plow through it, and I'm surprised I got through the area I did in an hour or so. But man, now I feel that pressure. I'm like, okay, I didn't have that as a kid, sitting there with my map and doing every step exactly, falling into the exact pit to get the weapon that it shows me on the side of the map on my little fold out and everything. But now I've had that experience, and damn it, that sucks. But no, I loved to. It is definitely the best version ever. I wish the damn boat was faster. Holy crap. I wish the underwater was faster, but
maybe they'll patch it.
It's gonna be again. I'm like, wait, you know that this was a problem, and you fixed that in the other version. You did this in 3. Apply those lessons proactively.
I haven't thought that the boat was too slow on top of the water, if that's any consolation.
No, not so much. No, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It annoys me when games. Why just not make it faster? Why can you not give us that faster thing? What are we doing that you don't like us to do in a video game when you can't make it a little faster?
Yeah, I didn't. I always thought that was. I was of a different opinion. I never thought the boat was too slow. It was just Ramya. And that's what they fixed in that patch, was finally to make her faster, because that was, oh my god, that was the worst thing ever. How slow she went. But I never had any problems with the boat.
The boat was fine-ish, but
wait till you get underwater. It's Ramya all over again. And I get it. Like, okay, are we trying to talk about the density of the underseas? That you wouldn't be cruising as fast below water as you would above water, but god damn it.
We were just talking about how we appreciate the little details and how they make their world feel real.
There you go. I felt the density of the deep sea.
There's also magic.
Was pushing back.
There's also magic, though.
Bubble.
So just
bubbles move faster. Come on.
Just fix it and say a wizard did it, and then we're good.
We got fairies in the games now, and mermaids, and there's people that can do this stuff. Dwarves galore in Dragon Quest 1. All the creatures are out to help out. All right, so Pendy, you have started to a little bit.
Yes. So I just got to the Desert Oasis after getting the Windbreaker, which, side note, I hate that name, that localization of the name. I don't know what it's originally in Japanese, but I like I think this was the Dragon Warrior version. They call it the Water Flying Clothes.
I saw this in your notes. The water flying clothes is the flowing dress, the armor that you make at the end of the game.
Oh, okay.
In the original, it was called the Cloak of Wind.
Cloak of Wind. See, even that's better. But just like the Windbreaker just sounds like a jacket I'm going to wear in the fall, not something that's going to.
I believe the original Japanese was translated as members only jacket back in the 80s.
I'm glad they updated it.
If you wore it, you were pretty fly. So I mean, that's how you got off the tell.
Ouch.
Okay. I'll just. Yep.
Yeah. Just Windbreaker is too familiar of a term for me. I like the older ones they did before.
I feel like they. I don't know if it was when they switched it to that localization, if it was for whenever they released the version of 2 for mobile, or if that must have come out before Builders 2. But either way, I remember getting the Windbreaker in Builders 2 and being like, that's not what that was called before, was it? But I couldn't remember what it was called. So this is a helpful
is-
conversation.
It is
Mobile
definite.
when they did that.
It's definitely Windbreaker in the mobile, and
Yeah.
I can't remember if mobile was before Switch or after Switch, but they're kind of the
mobile was before Switch.
Mobile
Okay.
was
It was
before
before, yeah.
The Switch was the Switch was a port of the mobile version. So yeah.
Yeah.
more or less.
Which
Yeah,
came much later.
Yeah.
Everyone's whining
And-
about it. I remember that.
time is irrelevant. Yeah.
Yeah, because they did it for the PlayStation as well. We just never got it outside
Yes.
of Japan.
Mhm.
But back to what I was talking about, kind of, sort of. One of the other questions was like, what did you name everybody? So the hero, I named Pendy, like I always do. I named Kanik Casey in honor of him, and then I named Moonbrook my wife's name because she loves mage characters in any kind of video game. So of course I had to name that one after my wife. And then I named Princess of Kanik Gina because they both have similar personalities. So that worked out very well with the naming. I was disappointed to find out there's no party chat. That's something I was really hoping for in this version of the game.
Mhm.
But the characters are still getting so much more personality through the additional story scenes that I'm okay with it. There's just so much of it that they're fleshing out these personalities through all these different story scenes that even though party chat still would have been cool, like there's so much improved personality in every one of the characters. So I'm okay with it. It's great. So I'm really enjoying it so far, and I can't wait to get to that additional content that's underwater that they've previewed in the past.
It's all right.
It's funny that the no party chat thing bothered me too, and I was like, they even had it in Octopath too, so they had an engine they could have done it. But you're right, the story is so well done that it doesn't sting as much as I thought it would.
And
No,
like
'cause
every time you seem to do like a story sequence, they have specific times where they're like, okay, let's step aside and talk about this as a group kind of thing, so that you like get those interactions between the characters.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the only reason I'm okay with it, because there's so much dense storytelling in this version that I'm like, okay, no, this is still good. I'm still getting like the the extended personality that I wanted, that I would have gotten with Party Chat. So yeah.
And let me tell you, as you get fighting reoccurring bosses, you will get that kind of experience as well.
Awesome.
Cool.
They make good use of, hey, we hired someone to voice this boss. It's not going to be a one-time appearance and, oh, you beat me. Move on. The end. No, they milk those actors and get their million lines out of it that way. Or not a million lines. All right. So I know we already talked about this a little bit, but who picked up the collector's edition? Aust, did you?
I did not. I couldn't justify the price this time.
No. Paul did not. I did not. Pendy, I believe you did.
Yes, just like with 3, I got the collector's edition. Very good acrylic figures, just like last time for 3. Much thicker than regular acrylic standees that you would normally see out and about in Japan for their various merchandise. And the character ones are double-sided, just like they were with 3 as well. And then now I've got, the book that came with the first one that houses both games. Now I've got the complete set with 3 and 1 and 2, both sitting in there, so that's fun. Plus the collector editions also came with additional bonus items, in-game bonus items, and some PC wallpapers, which are now on my computer. And then the one, there's got one, you got 2 of them at 2 different sizes, one with new art, one with Super Famicom art from that box art. And then, as with all the physical editions, not just the collector's edition, I loved how there's the reversible cover art that shows the cover art for the original editions of 1 and 2, plus the Super Famicom cover art of 1 and 2. So that was fun to see as well.
Nice. I know, Bluestar, you did not get it. But Jen, how do you like yours? Your
I love
PlayStation
it.
5 one?
I mean, I think that pretty much Penny knocked out everything that I would have said, but I liked the choice to have the standee of the dog as well, the acrylic standee of the dog as well. I thought that was a great choice. And I like how packaging that the standees came in for both goes together the same way as the covers do for three, and then 1 and 2. Like you can place them all next to each other, and it's a nice cohesive image. So makes for some really pretty pictures. And then obviously, being able to fill the book so that I've got 3 and then 1 and 2 in it is really nice. It's makes me very happy to have it all together. Yeah.
And then, of course, since the dog is double-sided, you get the little puppy booty hole.
Oh, God, I did not check for that. Thank you for that knowledge. I will
You're
never
welcome.
turn it
There
around.
you go.
It's there.
The more you know.
The detail that we were talking about before with these games. They're in this acrylic standees as well.
Me too.
You always got to be an asshole on the podcast. There's always one.
Always one.
Always one. All right, so this, I believe, is where Aust was going to give a lot of talk, and I feel like I might have already said all my stuff. But what does everybody think about the battle system in each game? Kind of, if you've only played the one, obviously you can say it, but what do you think here, Aust?
Yeah. I sort of talked about this earlier, but just the new combat balance makes you have to do, plan more than you would have ever had to before, because Dragon Quest 1, the only planning you did originally was grind, pretty much.
Yep.
And that was at the time, that was it was the first JRPG basically, so that the grinding was the gimmick. But like I said, I think that the Green Dragon was one of the notable times where I had to plan my gear accordingly and make sure I had fire resistant or breath resistant armor, and had the weapon that did more damage to dragons, and having to use all your buffs and debuffs and special attacks and abilities and stuff is not, even though abilities make their appearance in other Dragon Quest games, gosh, for most of the fights, you're just mashing the A button to get through them, except for boss fights, really. And in this one, it's like every fight, you unless you're just really over leveled, you're not going to have a good time just pressing attack.
Nope.
I said earlier, normal is not what I would consider hard, but there have been plenty of times where I've died just because I didn't do things optimally. Wasn't paying complete attention or something like that.
Forgiving.
Right, exactly. And it's like I'll die and I'm like, oh, I could have done that better. There's only been once or twice where I died and I realized, oh, I need to actually grind before I can move on. Most of the times I died, it just felt like something I had screwed up and I needed to go back and do it over again. And it's because I was playing the game like I do other Dragon Quest games, where I'm just, you don't have to dedicate a ton of mind power to it. But this one, you actually, you have to think about what you're doing. And gosh, I can't imagine what it would be like on Draconian mode, because I'm playing on normal, which is not hard, but you still have to think about it.
Oh yeah, I mean, my 50 deaths all on normal.
Yeah.
Trying to go too fast.
I haven't counted how many times I've died. I'm probably in a much better spot than you were, because I've had the elevating shoes on for the entire game. Because like I said, man, I am not up for the grind anymore. I just wanted to get through it.
Yeah, and I played this game so much, it was, I was trying to go story beat to story beat. I was not in it for that, strategic battles of every last slime and golem. But it's there for those people that want it. That is definitely there.
Yeah, and I do enjoy this. That I enjoy that you have to think about it differently. I enjoy that, even for all of the added strategy and the additional boss fights and everything, that the game is still sort of bite-sized. I'm here at the end, and I think I've probably played about 14, 15 hours. So it's
right
still
where I was, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like it's extended it drastically.
Nice. Since Paul had to leave, actually, I love that he mentioned this, because this was my very first note about the games when I started playing for review. Not his first note. His first note was he loves whips, and I don't know where he was going with that. That just trails off, so we'll leave that the way it is. But he liked the new abilities and spells, but this one actually got to me at the beginning, and by the time I wrote my review, I was like, I don't want to throw a negative in here, because there's so many other stuff, and I was focused on this. But he said the monsters are a little small on the screen. 100%. I put this up in my dock, and I've got an 85-inch TV with our home remodel. We went gigantic, and I plug it in, and we're on an 85-inch TV, and I'll be damned if that slime isn't like smaller than my fist on this huge 85-inch TV. I'm like, come on. I got in a battle with metal slimes, and it was a grass area, and they're so small against the grass, they looked like blue slimes. And as I got closer, I'm like, no, or I screenshot it and zoomed in. I'm like, this isn't the color, but the green around it fades it so much because they're so small. There's big towering trees in the background and big towering everything. And I felt like the small monsters felt too small. The Drakis, the slimes, they were like, come on, guys, you could literally double the width and height, make them 4 times bigger, and they're still going to be smaller than the golem and everything else. So I had a problem with that. I had a problem with, yes. I had a problem with the text size at the beginning, too. Like, I had to put my reading glasses on. I'm like, why? I review all these different games from all these different companies, and especially indies have so many accessibility options with text size, and a lot of them are getting into the color blindness. I played the latest Atelier game, and right at the beginning, it let me pick my text size throughout the game, my text speed, and if I had, 3-4 different types of color blindness, it could adjust the whole game for it. And Dragon Quest, Square Enix doesn't seem to touch any of that. I was like, I just need these. That's another thing. The text box is so big, and it can be filled with text, and it's not even a third of the space that's there. You could go bigger and have 2 lines and be just fine. So
yeah, and Dragon Quest fans, they trend older, so we need the.
I was gonna say
it anymore.
Yep, like like I said, I put it up. I was just like, I want to see how big this looks on big, and then I was like, that slime is so small in handheld. Like, you can barely make out the eyes and the smile sometimes. But other than that, like I said, I think I mentioned that the slimes are hard to see, but everything else. And I'll repeat my complaint from Dragon Quest III. Why, oh why, when they zoom in for the battle, can you not see what status effects and everything your people have? They go away.
Yeah.
You're not entering it, but like, come on. That's not hard to leave up on the screen.
Yeah, because I need to play it. I mean, it's not a big deal here because you don't have a lot of party members, but you need to plan
not so much, but
yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking to Brurian in the last episode about this, and he's like, it's fine. You'll see it when you do it. And I'm like, yeah, but especially when you got a party of 4 going against a party of 6 or 7 in Dragon Quest II, like, that's a lot of time for those things to happen. I can see where my poison happened. I can see where this happened. I would like to be able to put a little mental thought into that in the meantime. But
yeah, and again, it feels like a choice because in Octopath, you could see all that stuff. Like, there were icons for everything, so they clearly made a choice not to include it.
Yeah, and I mean, they kept the choice on all 3, so it is what it is. But when I zoom in, don't let me lose information. I already lose the awesome picture of my people, but we keep the rest.
I mean, I will say I like that now you can tap the R3 button or whatever and see the statuses for the opposing monsters, but you can only do that during attack selection too.
Yes, that was another thing, and I don't remember if it was like this in 3, but when you're sitting there looking at the monsters on the screen, their names aren't above their name.
They only are if they're weak. Yeah,
correct. I was like, oh, why isn't the monster name there? I want to see the monster name.
You know how many times I accidentally attacked something because I was trying to get the name to pop up?
Yep. No, I definitely have done that. Yep. Definitely. So yeah, just those little things with the battle system. I'm like, come on, show more. It's okay. You've got so much real estate on that screen. These things are in such high definition now. They're HD 2D. You got billions of pixels you can play with. Use some more. Minor stuff, but something that can be patched in and never will.
Yeah, most of my complaints are minor. Like, why are the 2 options for text speed annoyingly slow and too fast to read?
Yep.
And none of these are like big deals, but they're just little things that bug me.
It's interesting to sort of think about, wanting more information up on the screen versus, because I think a lot of modern games, not that I'm saying it's right to do it this way, but a lot of modern games are going for, the most minimalistic UI possible. And I think there's even a button
to get rid of it.
To get rid of it. So it's interesting that I think that's why they're going one direction to try to make the UI as simplistic as possible so that it's not like getting in the way of what is happening.
I can see.
But also,
I can see it both ways. It's definitely a choice, and it's a choice made that, it's not based on me. I know it isn't. That's fine. Broader themes are out there, like you say. Did we lose Bluestar?
No, I'm still here. No longer
Okay,
muted.
I was gonna say.
I said my thing about the UI versus not having the UI, and yeah, It is also getting a little late. So my train of thought is not running very far.
All right, so we'll try to wrap. Oh my gosh, we have so many more questions. We might go fast. We'll go to speed round here, Pendy, but we'll let you and Bluestar and Jen at least get through the battle system.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I thought that I agree with you when it came to how small some of the smaller enemies can be. Like, especially in Dragon Quest II, it becomes really apparent with the different types of Drakis because there's so many of them on screen at once, and you line them up next to the other monsters, and they're like little tiny. You can barely see the detail of them, which is weird.
Love the little Drakis.
And I also ran into an encounter with metal slimes, or like, is this a blue slimes? Why are they here? And it's like, oh wait, it's hard to tell. But adding
their name's
additional,
not there either.
right? Exactly. You don't see the names right away. But adding additional enemies in Dragon Quest 1 at once to fight in just adds so much depth to the fights. You have to be strategic in many battles and think about what you're going to do, as other people have talked about. And I also really enjoyed that. Dragon Quest 1 is a traditional turn-based RPG, but this shows why I like turn-based strategy RPGs so much, or even games like chess, where you need to think about your moves. I enjoy switching weapons depending on the circumstance to clear out mobs with a boomerang or whips, or using single enemy weapons when needed, of course. And then a lot of buffs and debuffs can be essential to surviving just on normal enemies sometimes. Now, the first Dragon Quest had around 10 spells, and I think this version, between both spells and abilities, will have almost 40. And almost all of them are very useful and are layered into the strategy you need to take on harder enemies and bosses. Even searching for mini-metals can be essential for what they provide. I struggled and died a couple of times on the boss in Weirdwood. It's the first time I died. Had I remembered that I had 20 mini-metals for a Banishing Bell, that fight would have been so much easier, and I forgot about it. But for both games, adding in abilities, like in 3, just makes the battles really diversified, and I love that. Specifically, I love that the hero of 2 now has abilities he can use instead of just straight up attacking like in previous versions of the game, or that the Princess of Moonbrook starts out with a canine related ability. That was just absolutely hilarious.
I guess.
A few of them, actually, yeah.
Yeah, I figured there might be more.
Oh, speaking of Dragon Quest II and fun Easter eggs, so when you are exploring Zahan, the fishing town in the lower corner of the map, when you go into the shrine at the back, there's 2 bookcases on either side. You should read the right one and then go over to the left one.
Okay.
It's hilarious, I promise. Just the 2 books are kind of related, and my brother was over and we just sat there laughing for a good 5 minutes.
Yeah, Penny, you just said something pretty
what?
interesting, though, that you love switching out your weapons depending on the circumstances. And for a while in Dragon Quest, you were penalized for changing your weapon, right? It would take up a whole turn to change a weapon.
It wasn't until recently where they started doing that.
And I've loved that they leaned into the fact that you can change it and then make your decision and do your thing, and you don't get penalized for it. They've kind of leaned into the fact that you should be doing that. You're rewarded for doing that now. Whereas back in the day, I would never change my weapon because I was losing a whole turn doing that.
Yeah.
So I agree.
I think the newest, the mobile remake of 3 didn't penalize you, so I loved being able to switch back for the hero between boomerangs and then single attack weapons. So I've been doing that in the past with some of the newer remakes. But you're right, there's older games where you'd lose a turn for switching to a different weapon. And I'm glad they got rid of that.
See, this is so interesting. My baby is showing, because I don't remember ever being penalized for changing your weapon. I remember being penalized when I wanted to equip a different weapon and I hit use instead, and then I just kind of waved the steel broadsword about in the middle. So I used my turn doing that instead. Hey, I have a sword. Which actually, to that point, when you go into your item menu now, everything that doesn't do anything is grayed out. So in this version
Nice.
of the game, you are not going to have that problem where you just wave around something that does nothing because you hit a wrong button.
I like when it idiot proofs it for me. Like it feels like they made that feature just for me. Yeah.
See, they can do accessibility options. Accessibility options for stupidity. Like, it's there. Some people are stupid. Some people are colorblind. I mean, come on. All right. Bluestar and Jen, what else? You wrap up this question, and then we'll hit speed round for the rest. Anything else about the battle systems that you wanted to?
So one of the big things mechanically that they added was the sigils. And for the most part, a lot of them are very like small effects. Like, one of them allows spells to crit, and one of them allows abilities to crit, which like can be very useful. And now that I've gone from 1 to 2, and I don't have that anymore, I'm definitely feeling it. But the one that is like kind of big is the Soul Sigil. And basically, it lets you upgrade your attacks if you meet certain conditions. The main condition that they tell you is that if you're lower than 50% HP, you can upgrade like Dragon Slash to Double Dragon Slash, which is really interesting in theory. In practice, I feel like it doesn't really tell you what is able to be upgraded on the fly versus, you can go into like the traveler's tips, and as you go through the game, you'll get a list of, what things change into what. And I think they do want you to sort of experiment with it.
Yeah.
Which is cool in its own right. However, in practice, because I was made of glass, I was never comfortable being lower than 50% HP.
Nope.
And even when I was, it was usually in a fight that was gonna last like forever, and I needed to keep that MP because the upgraded abilities cost more MP.
And it doesn't tell you that.
Right, it doesn't tell you how much it uses, unless you go into the traveler tips. So I'm like, I need to save this for healing because my strategy completely changed. It's like, no, we can't, we will not take less damage if we kill the monster faster this time. We will die. So we gotta play defensively now. So that was interesting. When you do beat the game, and they do sort of allude to this as soon as you unlock it, that there are other ways to activate it rather than just being at low health. And now I won't spoil that, but now knowing at the end of the game how to do that, it might be more useful.
I would have changed things. 100% I would have changed
Yeah. So it's an interesting concept. It didn't really work out for me that much the first go around, but
yeah, I don't know that second way of activating them, and I was trying to figure it out. So we're gonna have to talk offline about that.
Actually, I think you'll probably unlock it if you load up your save after you've beaten the Dragon Lord.
Okay,
it is.
I think
It's
that's
the first thing that pops up.
That's when they me.
Got it.
I can still tell you offline, but that's how you find out the secret sauce.
Yeah, I was just running to try to make sure I had some of 2 under my belt for today, actually. So I'll do that. But yeah, I think the sigils were kind of like a little love and hate because they were very random in terms of when they acted. So I had to do the thing I do in life where I just assume the worst, that it will never work, and then get pleasantly surprised when they do. And it's like, I need a good heal. Hopefully I'll get it. But if I don't, then, if my heal doesn't go critical, then I'm screwed. That's not a good place to be. I can't rely on that. So, I think the other thing that we kind of talked about was like, you need to equip a boomerang in this game sometimes. And it's funny because I've literally never felt like I needed to equip a boomerang before. But like, you have to tear through all the monsters or they will tear through you. So it's
when you're
crucial.
Attacking a lot of them.
Yeah, it's just crucial you have that. And it never felt that way before in a Dragon Quest game. Like that, it's crucial that I attack this way or that way. Like I said before, I like the R3 button giving the enemy status and giving the names of the enemies since they aren't always there. And then, yeah, the battle screen feels way too big. And I did not play this back to back with 3 to see if it's different than 3, but it does feel like it's wider than 3. I don't know if it is, but the slime seems smaller. For some reason, the Ledgermen and that family of monsters are gigantic in comparison, and it bothers me deeply. Like, they're so large because I think I love the proportions of the characters and builders. And like a slime to a Ledgerman in that is a very different proportion than in this game. But yeah, I felt like I was always running out of magic points and in this game too. So I was always equipping things that would half the amount of cost of magic points, or one that would double the amount of times you cast something, that sort of stuff to make up for it.
What was also interesting that I think is different from 3 is when you go to Draconian mode, it automatically turns off that your HP and MP refill when you level up. And that's a setting that you, like, once you go to Draconian mode, you can turn it back on, but I was like, they intended me to do it without this, and like it does feel more dire, I guess, if I do it this way. But it definitely made a difference to not have that, because I could not go very far at all in things before I had to be like, well, either I do a hell run through this dungeon and run from everything, or we leave and come back. So
yeah,
I don't think that was automatically a setting in 3.
I don't think you could toggle that at all in 3.
Right. I think that's an interesting addition, because I feel like that's maybe one of the complaints that I have heard about the modern Dragon Quest games, is that the level up refill makes the game really easy, which, to be fair, it kind of does. It changes everything about, how you are trying to save magic and things like that. Like, if you're going through a dungeon and it's like, well, I'm going to level up eventually, I can just cast Boom as many times as I want, and then we'll get more magic when we level up. So it's a very different way to think about it.
You are 100% correct. And here's my take on it when I talk to people about this. What did Pendy say? You're going to have 40 spells and abilities? Like, if I'm going through the final dungeon trying to get to the Dragon Lord, I got 40 spells and abilities. Do I really want to never use any of them just to save it for that final boss or something? Like, the games give you so much more to do that I think it's almost not, I don't know, it hampers my enjoyment by having all that and not being able to use them. Like, if I saved myself, I saved all my MP back in the day and ran through dungeons and, just attack and healed those very few times and waited until I was almost dead to get that as much healing as I could out of it. But I love that it refills, because I'm like, you know what? I can go and do a bunch of stuff. I will look at how many, experience I'm getting and look at, like, okay, it shows me in the menu how many experience I need on my next level, and I'm like, you know what, if I can shoot 1/10 of my MP at every battle, I'll get that refill, and I can have more fun. Like, it's not just attack and run away and hide and be scared the whole time.
Yeah, so the other thing that was interesting based on that is with, the balance of everything in Dragon Quest 1, and I mean, I've heard some people say that it's unbalanced, but honestly, I think I would say that it is critically balanced, because everything is winnable. You just have to know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's rebalanced. It's a different balance.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not say it's unbalanced.
I agree with that.
But when I was going through the dungeon, because of the way that, everything was balanced, you can't really go through and just not use your abilities or MP to try to save them for the boss. So you really start to rely on, I use more prayer rings in this run of Dragon Quest 1 than I think I have in 100%. Any game ever. So restoring your magic is incredibly important. And so, I'm also definitely the, you get all these items and it's like, well, I gotta wait to use them until I need them, and then you get to a situation where you need them and it's like, but what if there's a situation later when I need them more? We had to actually use the magic waters and the sage's elixirs, and I even had to pop it. I had to pop an elfin elixir to beat Dragonlord. So
Yeah, me too.
Yep, you saved it for the right spot.
I did. I almost actually. So when I beat Dragonlord, it was actually going to be the last run that I did before I was like, okay, I need to go gain another level or two because I can't consistently outspeed him, so he can just decide to kill me if he feels like it. And one of the things that I was going to do is I was going to try to see if I couldn't get a monster to drop a second elfin elixir, just so that I had that backup, because I was like, I don't think 100 MP from a sage's elixir is going to do anything for me, really, in the long run. So I was like, we might need that second one. That was the time that I ended up winning, after having not gotten him down to half health a single time before that. So very surprising, and I'll take the win, man. But it was very much like trying to go for creating these items that I usually never use because they're too precious, for the specific purpose of, I think I need these.
Mm-hmm.
Did you use the alchemy system and make yourself a lot of fun stuff?
I made a bunch of oomph powder.
No.
I made a bunch of oomph powder, and then I made everything else to get the achievement.
Same.
It was one of those things, kind of cool in theory, kind of fell flat in practice.
Exactly.
But honestly, I was finding all of these materials that said they were important items, and I'm like, oh, the sigils are going to have recipes for them. We're going to need to combine 2 pure waters and the thing to make the thing. And then it got up in there, and she just reaches into your bag and grabs a single item, and it's like, all right, here's the sigil. And I'm like, what's all the rest of this stuff for?
Why do I still have this water?
And it takes so long for her to say, hey, I can actually do other stuff too. So
I know, she won't do that till the sigils are all made, and it's like, come on, man.
Until the sigils are all made and she's not distracted by story stuff.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that is true too. Although, for me, she was distracted by story stuff before I had the last sigil made, so that was fun.
Yeah, that too.
I will say that the idea of having some kind of alchemy in the game was a nice thought, but again, I agree with you. Maybe if you could have mixed the stuff to get better stuff, I don't know. I would have preferred if I could have gotten special medicine instead of strong medicine, that kind of thing.
All right, let's get here. We got 2 more questions, and we'll kind of speed through these. I guess I got 3 of them. We'll speed through these though. Try to keep your thoughts to a minute or less. All right, so what are our favorite and maybe not so favorite additions or differences in these versions compared to the original or compared to the Dragon Quest III HD 2D? I'll start this out. I will say that the positives were, I love that I could turn spells and skills off for my AI. I could go right into the menu and say, stop casting that spell.
Don't use Hatchet Man. Theoretically, it has a bigger number, but it will never hit.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about save an MP. Stop, just random encounters. I don't need the biggest boom of all time on that. The negatives were, that item creation was just dumb, I thought. And my so-so were the sigils in 1, especially. They just seemed like MacGuffin searching. And Jen, you touched on it. I never felt like they were game-changing in 1. Obviously, they're the whole point of 2, a great deal of it. I never really... I don't think I want to fight because of what happened with it. Maybe it helped a little here along the way somewhere, but I didn't need those sigils in 1. The scrolls, gosh, again, as Pendy said, you get 40 different things. Could I have made it without the scrolls if they just added a few more things at level up? Sure. Does it give you something else to look for? Why not? So it was so-so. I didn't need it. I didn't hate it at all or anything. So those are my differences. Pendy? Oh, what do you want to say?
I was going to say there were some scrolls that were very important, but yeah, I guess if you learned them on level up, it would have been okay. Mm-hmm. But the animation for learning the thing from the scrolls is pretty cool.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yes.
and how it's a different color based on what kind of
Yes.
ability it is. And actually, something that I've noticed that I'm not 100% sure for Dragon Quest II is I think one specific ability might be different depending on which character you teach it to from a scroll.
Oh.
I think.
Interesting.
Because I taught it to my hero instead of to the Princess of Moonbrook, and it did not come out the way I expected.
Oh, wow.
So I'll have to see if I find another scroll for that.
All right. Pendy, what do you got?
So for me, I thought the sigils were mostly great. I especially loved the expanded story origin of them, how it ran from 1 into 2. And just in Dragon Quest 1, the sigil ability to do stronger spells when you're half dead was absolutely annoying to me, though I guess there's some kind of shortcut to that you guys were alluding to. Maybe I'll have to look that up. But it reminded me of Final Fantasy VII and Final Fantasy VIII, where they had limit breaks. Final Fantasy VII, you had a limit break bar. You hit stuff, it fills up. Stuff hits you, it fills up, and then you get to do it. Great. And then they did Final Fantasy VIII, where it's like, hey, limit breaks are back, but you can only do them when you're almost dead. I hate that kind of stuff. So that one in particular, I did not like. I don't like that when they do that in RPGs. But otherwise, the ones I've gotten so far in my playthrough of the game have been fun because they have, little upgrades like increasing the rate of critical hits or enabling spells to also go critical for bigger hit or bigger heal, which I thought is cool. Me personally, I love the scrolls. It's just another way to liven up learning abilities. And plus, I've noticed in 2, there's also choices that you can make, which Bluestar touched upon as well. Like you get Undead Undoers, one of the first scrolls you get, and you can equip that to the hero or the Prince of Canik. So you got to make a decision, like which one do I want to give this to? Or you get Crackle. That can go to the Prince of Canik or that can go to the Princess of Moonbrook. So I love that there are choices that you can make with some of them. And the story reason for them is pretty cool too, their origin. Now, looking around secret spots at first, and I just missed finding monsters that you could do in 3, but that went away eventually. But once I got to my first secret spot, I was like, oh, I can find monsters. Like, no, you can't, not in this game. But anyways, I did love the expanded the quality of life options, like turning off levels up for spells, the option to show where secret spots are that we touched on before. That was great. I could be wrong, but it seemed like the load times seemed to be better for this version on the Switch 1, because that was a complaint I had with Dragon Quest 3, where transitioning from a town to the world map could take an annoyingly long time for load times, but it seemed to be less in this one, or I'm just delusional. I don't know. But and I know some of you said that you hate it, but I actually really love the different types of locked treasure chests that coincide with the 3 different key types. Going back to explore different locked doors is a Dragon Quest tradition, and this just adds to it in these new versions. However, you can't do the recall trick with locked doors like you could do in 3, because you could press recall when you hit a door, and that would show up as like, this door, you can't get in this door, it's locked, and that would be in your recall menu. For some reason, it's not in this version. I don't know why.
I didn't know that was a thing in 3. That's kind of cool.
I didn't either.
Yeah, anytime you hit a locked door in 3, hit recall, and it will recall that little message that says that this door is locked. And so that's how you can save all the locked door locations and just go back to your recall menu and see where they are. So in here, I got around it by talking to people near the locked chest or door. But now I've recently just run into a locked chest in a secret spot with no NPCs around it. Can I take a screenshot? Yes. Can I write it down to remember for later? Of course. But it's annoying because it was such a nice feature in 3 that they took away in these games for I don't know what reason. But besides all of that, everything else I've already talked about.
I do like the designs of the locked chests.
Yeah, they're pretty.
And even in Dragon Quest 1, like there wasn't that much backtracking for the different ones, but it's more that in Dragon Quest 2 you start to find them like deep in dungeons. Deep. So it's like okay, this is gonna be a long walk to come back to this one.
They are, yes.
Yeah, there was one in Dragon Quest 1 that was at the end of a dungeon, and that was it. The rest of them were really at the beginning. when you ran into him. So I agree with that. I pretty much same feelings as everyone else said about the sigils. I really do like the scrolls a lot, and I know I'm going to have a hard time deciding who to give each scroll to in Dragon Quest II. Something that I saw somebody said that there were no diagonal sprites in Dragon Quest III HD2D, and I don't know if that's true or not, but I did want to say I love the sprite work in 1 and 2 in general, and the amount of it seems like there's more sprite work for the characters in this one, and I really do like that.
Yeah, I think that was Paul that put that in, and I'll trust what he says about that. Aust, you got anything?
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I can really think of is, and it's hard for me to contextualize it just because I'm so used to Dragon Quest 1 as it was. I don't know if this is just me expecting something different, but I don't know. I thought there might be some sort of pacing issues just because it does feel like you're going from dungeon to dungeon to dungeon, and then there's just like a boss fight at each one almost. It feels like there's less downtime in between the big story beats because there's not a lot. Dragon Quest 1 isn't a huge world really compared to like DQ11 or something like that. So I don't know. It's really hard for me to actually figure out because, like I said, it may just be that I'm expecting the more straightforward experience that it was. So I wonder how someone who's never played the original what they would think of it. Someone who is familiar with JRPGs. And
it's funny because so many people over the years have complained about the remakes being too easy, that they rebalance it and they make it so much easier than the original. Now that they've actually made it more challenging, now you've got all these other people freaking out about how more difficult it is. So you just can't please everybody, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think the difficulty is a problem, really.
I laughed so hard every time I got punched in the face and died. Like,
Yeah.
It was funny, just like how instant everything was. It's like you make one wrong move and it's over. You're loading your autosave from 10 steps ago, but it's your autosave from 10 steps ago. So It's like you're not really losing a ton. And I mean, if it was a longer game, yeah, it might have gotten old after a while as we like kept going through things and things kept, beating the shit out of me.
Yeah, the difficulty would be a lot more infuriating if we had to like go back to Tantagel every time we died or something.
I was gonna say that. It's like, yeah, sure, it's harder, but the consequences are almost non-existent for trying different things and dying. So why not experiment a little and see if you can go over that bridge or not, and then get completely slapped down and start back over 2 steps before you got over the bridge? Like, to me...
Oh, God. I did that going down to the part of the continent that has I think it's where the Staff of Rain or the Rain Stick or whatever the hell it's called, just out of curiosity. And the one enemy, like, nearly killed me right away. And I was like, oh, nope. Gotta really be careful about a bridge too far, just like the original.
I also definitely remember fighting. I was doing some boss fights and it definitely would start off and it's be like, okay, I got crit on turn 1. This isn't going to happen. Maybe we can find out an element that the boss is weak to so that I can use that ability the next time I go around. Because I'm like, this one's not going to work, but let's see what we can find out.
Yes, absolutely. You start experimenting then.
Definitely. All right, we're going to skip ahead. We had another question in here, but I saw someone type that in. It's a good idea as we are rolling into 2.5, 3 hours of this. We will just kind of wrap this up with our final thoughts and what we think of the remake so far.
Yeah, so for me, Dragon Quest 1 took lone warrior battles and made them interesting again. And I love that. The original game is a fun look at how JRPGs began, and I've always enjoyed it because I grew up with it. But this game modernizes everything about it into a challenging and rewarding experience. And hey, for people that think it might be too challenging, there's always Draki mode. There's 3 levels of difficulty that you can choose from.
You can be invincible in Draki mode and not die ever.
And you can even turn that off. You can do Draki mode and turn that part of it off too. I noticed that was a new quality of life mode that they added to this. But for both games, a lot of us in the past have pointed out how in the case of these games, of Dragon Quest 1 and Dragon Quest 2, how they have, the most potential to really flesh out the story compared to any other game that's been put out there in this series. And they did that for both of them. For Dragon Quest 2, I'm having a really good time in the short amount of time I've been with it. I'm on regular difficulty for both games, for 1 and 2, but I do look forward to playing them a second time as well in Draconian and doing Japanese voice acting instead of the English voice acting that I'm doing now. And I'll probably do a Princess Carry run when I'm in Draconian difficulty too, because that sounds like a lot of fun. So yeah, I have nothing but, pretty much positive things to say about both of these games, and it's been a great ride so far.
All right, Blue.
I think we got to get this in here somewhere. So, game good, play game. But but in all seriousness, it has been a magical experience, and I really have loved every second of finding everything they've added to every nook and cranny and everything that they've fleshed out about this world that we're all pretty familiar with at this point. But it's like a whole new look at it. And we said it at the beginning, everything that's added feels like it was always there to begin with. It doesn't feel like it's shoehorned in or anything like that. And it's even maybe one of the things that is interesting about Dragon Quest 1 is that there is much more of a progression in it now than there was, mostly with the fact that they changed the keys from just one type of key opens all the doors to, you got to get the different kinds and they don't break. You don't have to buy keys anymore. But it just, sort of gives you a trajectory for, where you can go, what you can do. And so exploring the world that way felt it was definitely a different take. But it was cool at the same time, and it felt like there was a reason for it. So it was I felt like I was a kid in a candy store. It was magic. Highly recommend.
Excellent, Jen.
Mini Dao is Final Fantasy 6 out of 10. Just kidding, guys. But that famous review got a lot of screen time. And I have to say, I disagree completely. I think that it felt like the original Dragon Quest games with all that old English language and stuff like that. So I really did enjoy the localization choice there. But overall, the game's fantastic. I think the additions added so much heart to it, especially 1. It was added story content that didn't feel tedious. It was extra dungeons that didn't feel like you were forced to do fetch quests. It was just very much the kind of content that felt like it belonged. I feel like the thing that made, Dragon Quest 1 feel longer is that it became a little more linear, because when you couldn't get somewhere because you needed a specific key, instead of being able to buy every key you could possibly hold, the game felt a little bit more linear, perhaps. You had to go in a certain order instead of kind of the whole game opening up for you at that moment. But I didn't think that was bad. I enjoyed it. And I feel like, Dragon Quest 1's almost 40 years old, and this still felt natural. So I was thrilled with the changes. I think they were fantastic. But overall, just really, really enjoying the new content, and I'm having so much fun with it. I'm so happy with how this went. All these minor little complaints about, the text moving too fast or way too slow, and the boat perhaps moving too slow and all that stuff is like, yeah, it's stuff. It's there. It's minor. But overall, these games are excellent, and I'm really happy to be enjoying them.
All right, Hoss?
Yeah, I've always wanted to see a modernized take on, some of these older NES games, just adding more story beats that you don't have to go to the manual to get, because, that's the way games were back then. And it's nice to see that story that's sort of sitting there in the background, like brought up, to the game's surface. Is every single part of it, is it like the choice that I would have made? Not every single thing, but by and large, it feels like Dragon Quest to its core. There's never like a moment that let me down in any way. As far as remakes go, Like, this is about as faithful as you can get while still significantly changing and adding things. I'm you know, I don't have any opinions on DQ2 yet, but as if DQ1 is anything to go by, I'm, you know, thoroughly pleased with this remake.
Alrighty, and Paul's not here, so I guess I'll be the one little voice with a little itch to it. And honestly, Austin and I from DQFM, we've messaged each other a lot. I actually got to go out to lunch with him, I think just 2 weeks ago, or dinner we did 2 weeks ago today. And he said something on DQFM last week that I was like, you know, this is, I think, where I land on it. As I said, I wasn't as happy with the strategic battles as you guys. I am over challenge in RPGs, I guess, as much anymore. My challenge is I'm really enjoying alchemy systems and making stuff that'll break the game open, and minute by minute fights are not exactly what I'm playing for anymore. So what he put it is, you know, unequivocally, if he were to play Dragon Quest II again, this is the one he would pull it out. He'd pull out the PS5, play Dragon Quest II HD2D. If he was going to play Dragon Quest 1 again, he would probably pick a different version. And I think that's where I am too. I would play, if I was getting the itch for Dragon Quest 1, I'd want a shorter adventure. I don't want 15 hours. And while I love the story, I don't need the story always. I guess it's kind of like the difference between having a novel and watching the movie version. The movie version is going to last you 2 hours and get you what you want. Whereas the novel, it's going to take longer to read and it's going to be way better. This is the novel version, but I'm a little more casual. I think I'd watch the movie. I'd play the Super Nintendo version, or I think quite possibly Pendy did, who is it, Liam, ever get his Dragon Quest Talk podcast out? Do we know if that ever
No, not that I've seen.
happened for real? Okay. A few of us sat down like last year with former Slime Timer Liam, and he was gonna he had us record a whole couple hours podcast with him about our favorite version of each game. I think still Dragon Quest Plus, Night Fly's fan-made game that came out a couple of years ago, would be my favorite version of this. It had a lot of fun stuff. It had a lot of cool extra stuff, but it was a little easier for me.
You know what? I just want to jump in. I do kind of agree. When I think about going back to play DQ1, I do want like a fast, streamlined experience. You know, something like the Game Boy Color version, or even the Switch port. And, you know, I'm typically a story guy, so I do like the games that, you know, have a lot of story, but I get where you're coming from. DQ1 has always been a game that you're like, you're playing it for the distilled JRPG experience. And I think it's just, this is a different take, you know, that's what it comes down to.
It is. Yeah. I'm glad it exists. It was fun to play through, but I definitely, I wouldn't, you know, once a year come back and say, yeah, let me put in 15 hours over a week and do this. That's all right. I had a good time with it. I rarely replay video games anyway, so this is all very theoretical from my point of view. And on that theoretical standpoint, we're just going to end that here and say that's it for this episode of Slime Time. Thank you all for coming here to talk about Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake. And special thanks to all of our guests. Thank you, everybody that made it all the way through. Thank you, Bluestar. Thank you, Aust. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Pendy.
We are a non-profit podcast. We won't make you blue by charging you for our quality free content. But if you do have some extra gold that's just completely burning a hole in your wallet, pouch, bottomless bag, treasure chest, or hanging wall sack, searchable hanging wall sack, and you would like to donate anything to a website that's been supporting Dragon Quest fans for over 25 years, stop by the Dragon's Den by clicking the link in the show notes. There are several ways to support the Den, including the affiliate links that don't cost you anything extra when making other DQ purchases, including the games we just talked about.
We even have a Slime Time t-shirt that was designed by our resident artist, Delicious Dwayne. See the link for it in our show notes.
You can direct comments or questions for the podcast on X, Blue Sky, and Instagram at DQ Slime Time.
Join us and tons of others for DQ discussion at the Dragon's Den forums or Discord, the Dragon Questers Facebook and Discord, and our Slime Time Facebook group.
Please like, subscribe, and write a review for the podcast.
Dragon Quest Slime Time, sliming off.